And welcome everybody to another episode of the Pulse of Finns Nation. I am your host Louis Sung, and I am taking the Pulse of Finns Nation. Joining me this time is Mr. Jacob Meschel. Is that how you say it, Jacob Meschel?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I just want to make sure I said that right. He is the owner of the Finns Dynasty Instagram account. You should go and check that out. We are working with him here at 5 Reasons Sports. And my normal co-host, Mr. Ron Caniff, got hung up at work, probably taking the people. No, he's actually not. He's not a doctor, but it's you get the idea. So I brought Jacob in today, so he's going to be joining me for this episode. How are you today?
Great. How are you? Enjoyed the camp updates today. Earlier today, so should be a good one.
Oh, yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, actually. And again, just so everybody knows, the point of this show is meant to basically let you guys do the work for us, almost in a way, because we are going to be taking your comments, your questions all throughout the show. And I have gone ahead and found a bunch of different tweets that we're going to respond to on social medias so we can just have some stuff to talk about, because this is what the show is about, taking your pulse, kind of getting an idea of what you guys are talking about and commenting on that. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it right now, because we got a lot of other content showing up on 5 Reasons Sports. So make sure you're going to be keeping an eye on that. So we do have one. I asked everybody to give me your training camp takes, one of which came from Mr. Tiber and _UK. And this comment is made rather, I guess you could say, cynically. Which decade will the Dolphins figure out the offensive line? Is the 2030s overly optimistic? Wish I was being sarcastic. So I don't know when the Dolphins are going to figure this whole mess out. I, for one, have been on the camp of saying that if you're going to draft somebody to play a position, you play them at the position that they were meant to be playing. So the comment is basically made in response to the Liam Eichenberg situation, where apparently he's being played at left guard and he's not doing so hot over there. And now we're finding out that he's apparently injured, and he was a tackle at Notre Dame. So why is he being bumped inside to guard? I understand the concern. I get it. And I honestly agree with it. If I were the Miami Dolphins, I would be putting him at right tackle because he was a tackle in college. I don't see the point in making him play guard now, unless you're going with this whole idea of the analytics, like, oh, his arms are a little too short to play tackle in the NFL. I mean, he was pretty darn good as a left tackle in college. What's the issue here? I don't agree with that. I would prefer the Dolphins did what they were supposed to do and put Eichenberg at right tackle. As far as the rest of it, center, I want a Creed Humphrey. I'm on record of saying that I wanted a stud tackle, either Landon Dickinson or Creed Humphrey. I wanted a center. I can't complain with the picks the Dolphins did make, because obviously they're showing up and making an impact, but I wanted a center. Austin Jackson struggling a little bit. Solomon Kinley finally got back with the first team. He opened up some holes. I guess he was being punished by Brian Flores for showing up overweight or something, I guess. Michael Dieter at center, not the best case scenario, I understand. And right guard, Robert Hunt. That's kind of the offensive line as it is right now. Jesse Davis is projected to be the starting right tackle. Definitely not the best, and we've been told that it's been pretty iffy, to put things mildly. What are your thoughts on the whole offensive line situation, Jacob? Do you think by 2030 we'll finally have figured it out?
Yeah, the comment's funny, but it's true in a sense because the first day of joint practices, the offensive line was scary. Reports were saying that the O-line struggled against Khalil Mack and the whole Bears defensive line. And the Bears defensive line it's really good, and Miami's offensive line is young, and they have rookies on it. They have second-year guys. And the concern is definitely legitimate. But I think reports coming out today saying it was definitely an improvement from last practice with the Bears. It's looking up, and things are looking up, and I think that the concern is definitely valid. But I am very optimistic with the reports that came out today. And like you said, with Solomon Kinley subbing in for an injured Eichenberg, I thought that he established his role there, and I think that the offensive line still needs to be proven. But all right now, all I could do is be optimistic about it in that sense.
I'm just going to go ahead and address one comment. Mr. Alfredo Artiaga, who donated $3.33 in the super chat. Our good friend Alfredo, he says, just simply welcome, Jacob. So your official.
Thank you, Alfredo.
Yep. And Cap for Life, he's basically making some comments there in the chat. Good to have you here, my friend. We're going to be really appreciating. So going to go ahead to the next one from David Nicholas. On a scale of 1 to 5, being 1 being not at all and 5 being incredibly, how disappointed are you in Noah Igbenogany, Lynn Bowden Jr., Liam Eichenberg through camp? Now you see the comment below that says this is from Alfredo. He's right in the middle of being disappointed and not at all disappointed. I'll just go ahead and make this point. I'm concerned about Igbenogany for this season because the idea was that, he'll make the second year jump, but he's not making that jump so far. He's having some struggles. He's not picking things up as fast as we want him to. He got demoted to the third team for a little bit there. So that's a concern. Now, I recently made a comment also saying basically that we have to keep something in perspective with Igbenogany, is that he has not had a lot of experience playing corner. He essentially, at the very last year that he was over there at Auburn, that's when he finally got to play corner. And he's an athletic freak of nature. Don't misunderstand. But he's still learning how to play cornerback. So I wish that he had been higher up. I'm not too concerned yet, especially since we recently worked things out with Xavier Howard, at least for now. So I'm not really all that concerned with Igbenogany right this second. If come year 3 next year, he's still having these issues, then I'm going to start considering him to be a bust. As far as Liam Eichenberg, I'm not all that concerned about him just yet. Again, he was really solid in college. There is that learning curve that comes with rookies. He's playing a different position than he's supposed to. Again, I would prefer that he was at right tackle instead of at left guard, and that's kind of where all the situation is. Who was the last one? It was
Lynn Bowden.
Lynn Bowden, I'm disappointed in. Him, no doubt about it, I'm disappointed. He has been invisible in training camp, has barely made anything worth mentioning, haven't even had the ball thrown to him very often. And considering that right now he's in a position where Albert Wilson is on the sideline injured, Will Fuller is on the sideline injured, Devontae Parker is on the sideline not practicing, you would think that supposedly this incredible dude we were all so excited about last season would start to show up and make some plays. But no, it's still Jakeem Grant, who's way above him as far as anybody's concerned, okay? For all the people who hate Jakeem Grant and all the drops he made last season, you're going to be disappointed because I think Grant's going to make it and Bowden is not, just because Bowden's not doing anything. And even if you don't want to keep Grant, you have Mac Hollins making plays. You have Isaiah Ford somehow coming back from the dead for the 14th time, making plays. Robert Foster making plays. So where is room for Lynn Bowden in that group who has basically been, again, invisible the whole way through? There is no way that he's going to make this roster unless he starts to show up in like the preseason and actually does stuff in games, because in practice, he's done nothing.
Yeah, he's done nothing in practice, but you can't discredit what he's done last season for the team when everyone was injured in the receiving core and he was there making plays. Yes, he struggled in camp so far, and guys like Jakeem Grant have been the ones that are making headlines because they've been having a good camp. But
it's not just him. It's Robert Foster. It's Mac Hollins. It's Isaiah Ford. If it was just, it's just Grant. Well, Grant's been around longer. Foster showed up this year. Mac Hollins is a core special teamer more than anything. So you would think Bowden would stand out, but he's not.
Right. Yeah, and that's definitely concerning as someone that's on the bubble trying to make this team. But Flores is going to have to make the tough decision because this wide receiver room is super stacked right now, and guys like Mac Hollins are as Chicago beat reporters are talking about, he's been giving the Bears a lot of trouble. And as someone who wasn't a big fan of Mac Hollins last year, he's really surprised me, and Lynn Bowden is going to have to make a statement, or else he's not going to make this team, which I thought he would be certainly a lock for this team heading into the 2021 season for sure.
For sure. I'm going to go ahead and address just one. Okay, we'll do this really quick. When is Kanye dropping Donda, Lewis? This is from Kai Chen Chisholm of the Extra Yard. I don't know, man. Hip hop's not my thing. Jacob, you got something to say on this?
Don't listen to Kanye too much. I like a couple of his songs. More of a Drake fan, though.
So does that mean you're a Houston Rockets fan? Isn't that his team?
No,
Drake likes. No, that's right. He likes the Raptors. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cap for life in the comment section. He wanted to get that out there. Being we have depth in all phases, is the center position vulnerable? I would say we do not have depth in all phases because our center position has no depth. I'm very disappointed. If you want to talk about players, I'm disappointed in Matt Skura. I was really excited for him. Alfredo had me really hyped up. This dude is supposedly an elite blocker who just had the yips with his snapping. So far, the only thing he hasn't had struggles with so far is his snapping. Because unless the idea is that they're trying to give every single possibility and chance for Michael Dieter to win the center position, I figured that Matt Skura would win this battle running away. But I have some Ravens fans who tell me that the reason that Skura was so good in Baltimore was because he had some really good guard play standing next to him to kind of make up for his I'm trying to look for the word right now. I'm just a little fresh off of work. So
his ability to make plays,
his lack of ability, basically his lack of talent. I don't know if that's true or not. I tend to go with the things that Alfredo says because he's really smart. He knows his film stuff. I don't know what's up with Skura, but right now the center position is a problem simply because if Dieter is the best that we've got, then that says a lot more about Skura than it does about Dieter, because I don't know if Dieter has really finally shown up and become that Wisconsin type offensive lineman that we're used to seeing from these guys. But all the same, our center position is definitely vulnerable. I wish that the Dolphins had made some more moves along the offensive line, but you can't have everything. All right. From the Mick at Pastry Sar, is Jacoby Brissett, a better quarterback than, say, Chad Henne? I'm starting to wonder if some of these questions are not real questions. Yes, Jacoby Brissett is better than Chad Henne by a long shot.
By far. Chad Henne gave me just the name Chad Henne gives me nightmares, and I would not like to think back to Chad Henne whatsoever.
Wasn't Chad Henne the guy who saved the Chiefs season last year when he ran for he scrambled for that one play?
Yeah, and I was rooting for him, but he's plagued the Dolphins in the past, so you know what? Congrats with your success on that one play with the Chiefs, but don't come coming back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. I'm more than content to deal with Jacoby Brissett instead of the likes of Chad Henne.
And Brissett is, I think he's an amazing backup, and you can't get much better than him as a backup. So.
Yeah, I mean, as a backup, you could again argue Ryan Fitzpatrick, but that's a different story altogether.
Yeah.
Okay, from CJR at CJR139. I mean, the draft is because this. Okay, so this is in response to a tweet that I had made about Chris Grier because somebody was complaining that Grier was not a good drafter, and I had said that I don't believe he is. So this person responded and said, the draft is historically 50-50 on hitting or missing picks. Not many teams are much better than that. People are delusional if they think Grier will hit 100% on all draft picks. However, the past 3 drafts have been good. The major key will be Tua. So, of course, Tua Tagovailoa, depending on his success or his failure, is going to distinctly make an impact on Chris Grier's legacy as a Miami Dolphins general manager. But I don't know how anybody can make the comment that Grier is not good at drafting if the players that he is picking, at least a good chunk of them, are actually turning out to be solid contributors. I think more the complaint is that you feel like they needed something else at the time that you drafted the player. So I guess they felt like when they drafted Christian Wilkins a little while ago, they needed something else instead of Wilkins, and they're upset. Why did you draft Wilkins when you needed this? Or in the case of Noah Igbenogany, why did you draft a cornerback when you know that we needed a running back? Why didn't you draft one of them? So now, from that perspective of it, I get it. But if you're looking at the total body of work that he has drafted, he drafted Tua. That's turning out to be pretty darn good. He drafted Austin Jackson. Jury's still out on that. Igbenogany, not looking good right this second. But again, There is still plenty
young raw
of time.
talent.
He's a physical freak of nature. And when you have those athletic kind of players, if you can just teach them what they're doing, that's what coaching is all about, then they can turn out to be really good. It took a couple years for Xavier Howard, by the way, everybody, the superstar corner we love so much now, and was willing to give him a blank check to stay. He took a while to get the hang of it too. And he was a corner all his career at college. So I don't want to hear that Igbinogheni's a bust already. Then you just look at this draft, this past draft. Jalen Waddle, already looking like a home run. Jalen Phillips, he just got back onto the football field and already he's starting again. And then you have the second round, Javon Holland. And there is nothing that Holland has done so far that's going to make me think anything other than this guy could be really, really, really darn good in the NFL. I don't know if I'm going to say that he's the Derwin James of this draft, but he's doing pretty darn good, all things considered. The ball, he's finding the ball. He's keeping an eye on the quarterback's eyes. He's making plays constantly against our quarterbacks, against opponents' quarterbacks, because now we've seen him do it against the Chicago Bears too. So, and you can make the argument, Danny Dalton. Oh, it's a rookie Justin Fields. So what? It's an interception.
And making the argument like, oh, Grier doesn't want to address the running back position. These past two drafts, there has been a running back that has fallen into Miami's laps and had been taken one pick before them. Dobbins last year, and now it was the guy from University of North Carolina this year. And you hate to see it, but it's unlucky. Miami was probably going to pick him if he was available, but ended up with Javon Holland, and I'm not mad at the pick because he's making plays, and I think he's going to be he has potential to be either rookie of the year for reaching or the best rookie on Miami if he could outperform Waddle. So I really like the Javon Holland pick, and I think it was a great safe pick by Grier.
All right, so addressing Troy Ortiz's comment in the comment section. Let's take a look at just the last two seasons of Grier's draft. Should have taken Herbert. Disagree. Should have drafted Ruiz. Okay, maybe you can go there. No, an absolute bust. We just went over that. We could have taken a stud running back. Eichenberg looks like a bust. Okay. Once again, this is not how things go. You can't just assume that because the player is not showing up immediately and being a superstar day one that they're going to be a bust. Devontae Williams, I would have loved that. Or Javonte, not Devontae, Javonte Williams. I almost forgot. It's a J, Javonte. I wanted him to, but let's keep in mind what he actually did, not what he could have done. If you are arguing what Grier should have done instead of what he did do, well, then there's never going to be a way to kind of keep things objective about it. If you are going to argue that what he did do, again, we just went over this. It took Xavier Howard 2 years for him to become Xavier Howard. If we go by the logic that we're judging all these other players, then Xavier Howard would have been out of here and labeled a bust before he had a chance to become a superstar. And then we would have complained that the Dolphins gave up on him too fast. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. That's all I'm going to say on that. All right, next one. I had made the comment that I would put Eichenberg where he belongs because like I said earlier, and I would have had him a tackle. So South Florida big dog here said I'd put Eichenberg at left tackle. No, I actually meant right tackle. And then he comments, they tried him at right tackle during OTAs and he was, so they moved him inside the left guard on his college side. What else is left? I know it's early. Moving a guy from offensive tackle to guard is not a good sign, and whiffing inside is even worse. Okay. Something you need to keep in mind with offensive line play, when you get moved inside the guard, everything moves a whole lot faster. And not only that, the guys that you're facing are a whole lot bigger because it's not about speed anymore. Now these guys are bulldozers who are going to knock you on your tail. So this is the kind of thing that you have to keep in mind. Again, with Liam Eichenberg specifically, he was a tackle. He's used to playing tackle. Now, whether you switch him to the left tackle or the right tackle, it's still technically tackle. I've often asked the question, how hard is it to switch over? It's kind of difficult, but I feel like that if his mechanics are built for tackle, he should be at tackle. Just because he didn't do well immediately, that's the key word, immediately, does not mean the player itself is complete and utter failure. Again, the whole judging early thing is what screws everything up. Tua last year And we get on people now about this whole thing because keep in mind, Dolphins Twitter now gets up in a tizzy if you even mention how Tua struggled last year because he did struggle a little bit. So are you saying that based on what he did last season, that Tua should not be given this chance because it's time to move on? Even though we now have reports about how he's absolutely lighting up defenses, including our own, which is a completely stacked secondary. That's not how it works, guys. It's not how it works. So I really do think we need to have some level of patience. Kept for life. Denver was going to screw us regardless. They wanted Jalen Phillips and took Javonte out of spite. Well, I guess we screwed each other over then, didn't we? So that made it down. We're even.
And I think that Eichenberg at that position, you could make the argument whether it's good, whether it's bad. The fact of the matter is, yes, he is struggling right now. He was in Tua's lap because the Bears had with Khalil Mack and everything, they were pushing us around these last couple days. But it takes time to get adjusted into a position that you're not used to. And Luis, you're right. You got to give players time for them to adjust and get comfortable.
Mm-hmm. You can't just assume they're going to bust just because they don't plan out immediately after the thing goes. Okay. So we're going to wrap things up in about 5 minutes because we do have another show coming up at about 8 o'clock. So make sure you stay tuned for that. We're going to, and of course, our good friend Manny, who's been producing the show this whole time. I know this is really a little bit of a shorter show, but I do plan on having another show very shortly based on the preseason game that we're going to be having on Saturday. There will be content coming out for that. So let's go ahead and do our last comment for the day before we call it here. So from EMR at E-Ravely, I'm sick of the Dolphins handling offensive line this way. It's obviously not working. If a guy is a tackle, leave him at tackle and stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Yes, again, 100% agree. Don't reinvent the wheel. If this guy is built to be a guard, make him play guard. If this guy is built to play tackle, let him play tackle. I don't like to play this game of moving people over. One last thing from our good friend Alfredo. Ryan Fitzpatrick is slicing and dicing the New England Patriots.
Isn't that a specialty, though?
Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun to listen to? Listen, I don't know what's going on. I think this might be spearheaded by the extra yard guys, but all of a sudden everybody's like hating on Ryan Fitzpatrick for saying that he was shocked when they said that Tua was going in ahead of him. Again, remember, he thought he was going to start. He had his good buddy Chan Gailey as the offensive coordinator. He figured that this season was his to play and have fun. He wants to play football. He doesn't like warming the bench. And I don't necessarily hate him for that. He was a good sport about it after it happened. So why are we saying like, oh, well, I was surprised and suddenly he's like the scum of the earth? Listen, whether you root for him anymore or not, we can at least appreciate the time he was here in Miami, say thank you for the memories because it was a heck of a lot more fun to watch him the past 2 years than it was for a long time arguing about Ryan Tannehill. I still think Tannehill's a better quarterback, but as to who was more fun to watch, not even close. It was Fitzpatrick.
And, Fitzpatrick, you love to see him slicing and dicing against the Patriots because that's what he did with us. He totally took out the Patriots on the last regular season game. So if that's what he's known for, then be it because any way the Patriots could get sliced up is all good with me.
Yep, exactly. All right. So we're going to go ahead and call it here. Jacob, thank you for filling in on such short notice.
Thank you for
I really
having
appreciate
me.
it.
No problem.
We will have you on other shows as time goes on. So for anybody who wants to go ahead and leave a comment for the next show, you can at Pulse Fins Nation or you can at me at Louis D. Sung. Jacob, they can find you at Fins_Dynasty.
Yes, sir.
That's right. So make sure you follow him as well. So, and now stay tuned to 5 Reasons Sports because we got some more sports content coming for you at the best South Florida sports network in the nation. All right. You have yourself a fantastic night.